All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. Once again, it's your host, Rob, aka B-Ball Archives, and I'm joined by my homie, Adam.
What's up, guys? It's been, a good year since I've been on the pod, and
Dude, it's been a hot minute.
it's been a long time, but I'm enjoying being back chilling with you, getting ready to talk some B-ball, some 2024 playoffs, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah. Stoked that we're able to get together because, dude, it's not the same in the Baseline Bums universe without you.
But what's nice is that now that I've got this mic here in town, you're going to expect some upcoming content. We're going to hop on and just discuss as we see it live, right? So
yeah.
We're going to hop on late nights and just talk about what we saw that day. And so more content to come, which I'm excited about.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, we're going to dive into some cool playoff topics today. We're going to talk, about the Suns imploding a little bit.
Eesh.
Talk about the rise of Anthony Edwards, the Timberwolves kind of taking off, what that means for them in the future, especially against the Nuggets, defending champs. We're going to be, talking a little Lakers action as well, but we're also going to be talking Eastern Conference stuff too, talking about the Knicks, 76ers. That's been an interesting series.
For sure. Big game recently.
Oh yeah. And, speaking of teams imploding, the Bucks. So it's kind of interesting to see how all these various storylines are playing out.
For sure. And, I think that the playoffs are only going to get more exciting from here. I think there were a few first round matchups that, obviously some injuries impacted what we saw in the first round, right? But yeah, I think there's more to come, but I'm excited to talk. I got some cool thoughts on what we've seen so far.
Absolutely. Well, let's just dive on in. Face first.
Yeah. You want to, I guess we'll go right into what? We'll go into the T-Wolves and the Suns?
Yeah, let's go T-Wolves Suns because that's like a clear, we know what the next round is going to be.
Yeah, that's wild. That's probably, obviously we've got them versus the Nuggets coming up, but I don't know that there's been a team that I was more impressed with what they did in the first round than the T-Wolves. And, I saw a take of yours on your TikTok about what you thought was going to happen in the first round, and I thought that there was going to be an upset too.
Yeah.
Like, we've never seen the T-Wolves do it. Right, they made some noise last year. Obviously, Anthony Edwards has had a great year. His summer with the the USA team. But I'm one of those guys that prove it to me first. And I thought with all the experience for the Suns and KD and Booker, I thought they were going to get it done, and I couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah. It's like what did you think was going to happen, Frank Vogel? You don't have anybody distributing in that offense. You just have a point guardless offense, and then all of a sudden you run into the number one defense in the NBA, and you're like, wow, our offense doesn't really look that good. We're pretty stagnant. We can't move the ball. Our guys that are catch and shoot and then create guys, they're not really adjusting to this really physical defense. Anthony Edwards stepped up his defense. Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley was consistent, and then Jaden McDaniels was a clamp.
Yeah, they're so long, right?
Yeah.
So much length. And to go back to your point about not having a point guard, whenever you're a guy like Booker and you're a score-first guy and you're having to bring the ball up the court and you're having to get the ball to your hands early, you're not focusing on what you do best. And it's mentally draining on a guy. If you're wanting to be a scorer and you're having to worry about distributing, it's you're not playing into your strengths. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're focusing so much energy on stuff that you just shouldn't even be worrying about.
Right.
Which is one of the things that's really impressing me so much about Anthony Edwards is because he's doing so well defensively while handling a crazy offensive load. And
he's so athletic. He's strong. He's a big guy. And yeah, it's really, that whole team is so long and athletic. I mean, you think about just the length. You've got Naz Reid, 6th man of the year. You've got 3 legitimate 7-footers that they're going to be able to throw at Jokic. But whenever you've got that much size and length and the only center on the other team, really, I mean, Eubanks played a little bit, but is Nurkic the least winning player in the history of the playoffs on the other side? KD's having to guard some bigs. they were not on the same page athletically. They didn't have the same level of size, and it was so apparent. And it's crazy, you know. The T-Wolves didn't even have to play. They played like 7, 8 guys. Kyle Anderson was only averaging 10 minutes, but I was thinking about it, like, the only guy that they have on their team that really plays a lot that's older is Conley. The rest of their guys are younger, have fresh legs, and they were able to play 38, 40 minutes and not get fatigued. And, yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what happens in this next series. Now, question for you. Do you think that series was more about like the T-Wolves emerging, or do you think it was more about the Suns flopping?
I think, obviously it's a little column A, a little column B, but I think it was more about the T-Wolves emerging. I mean, obviously, I think this is always what shitting the bed was going to look like for the Suns.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we knew as soon as we saw Bradley Beal's contract, we knew that they weren't going to be able to put enough depth around this team because it just didn't financially make sense.
Right.
And so one of the first things to get the axe was all right, we can deal without a point guard. We can deal without some front court depth on defense. And it's like, all right, all of these little chipaways is just going to lead to a not very complete roster. So I think we knew what that situation kind of going south would look like, but I think I didn't expect a clean sweep, and I think that's more of polished play from the Timberwolves and how, you know, Cat was kind of able to be more of a real second fiddle alongside of Anthony Edwards rather than like being like, hey, I'm going to kind of close out some games too, and I'm going to kind of be mostly the guy. Like, I think this was one of the first postseason times on the court at all where it seemed like Cat was really willing to play, you know, that Robin where he was like, you know, this is your team. I'm here to supplement what you're doing.
And it's part of what I love about Anthony Edwards is he's like the epitome of like an alpha ball player. He wants to be the best player on the team, and he is, obviously. I think he averaged like 31, 8, and 6, shot over 51% in that series.
On 43% from beyond the arc.
Yeah, he shot insane from 3.
Crazy.
And, you know, last year in the playoffs, he struggled a little bit. So I'm really curious to see if that's going to keep up. But yeah, he's the epitome of an alpha. And I think that's what makes him so popular. Because there's sometimes you can be a superstar in the NBA and be as like cocky as he can be, and it's a turnoff. But like, it's part of what I love about him. And I think it's part of what makes him so popular is that he talks it and then he walks it too.
Right. I mean,
and he's 20, what is he, 21 years old?
I think he's 22. Is
he 22?
Yeah.
So he's old now.
Yeah. He's past his prime.
Like he's got another 7, 8 years of, I don't even know that he's at his prime yet. No. He's probably not.
No, I don't think we've seen what his peak or, I mean, obviously not his peak, but like the beginning of his prime even looks like. I think most guys
hit their prime, like sometimes different times than others, but 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you see with Tatum. And I think that, we're only going to see the best years out of him. And I think the T-Wolves are going to be formidable for a while, you know?
Yeah.
They're going to obviously re-sign him. They've got Cat under contract for a while. There was talks about trading Towns, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Like you saw whenever he went down in the regular season and got hurt, I think a lot of people were like, hey, the T-Wolves are, you know, they're still okay, but it was really apparent that they do need him.
Yes.
They needed that second scorer. And we're going to talk about a team later that, like, I think what's keeping them from being at the level that maybe the T-Wolves are at is that second score. And we'll talk about them then. Yeah, I'll just say the Knicks a little bit later. I think they're lacking some stuff.
Absolutely. But I agree. That's the beauty of what Karl Anthony Towns can bring to your team is if he's playing in unison with the best player on that team, that's a really dangerous team because for so long he was trying to be the number one option, and that's just not him. But he's an amazing second option if you've got the defense behind him.
They've got an alpha.
Yeah.
They've got a great second option, like you said, and then they have what's probably going to be the defensive player of the year again in Rudy Gobert, even though I disagree with that. I think that
should be Wemby.
Our boy Wemby should be Depoy. with what he
Should be
did.
Wemby.
With what he did in the second half of the year. And then you've got Jaden McDaniels, who will probably be, maybe second team all defense, if not close to it. He's certainly one of the best 15 defenders in the NBA.
He did miss a good amount of time, but
That's true. I don't know if he's eligible.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think he missed enough time to where he would be ineligible, but he did miss a good chunk.
and I think most people would agree that he's like a top 10, 15 defender. And then
yes, absolutely.
And then you got that. You've got sixth man of the year. You've got Conley, who plays his role. I just think they're a really well-rounded team. I think you look at a guy like Kyle Anderson, that if he was on the Suns, Kyle Anderson probably starts for them over Royce O'Neal. Like, he would be that contributing or the facilitating guy that they could really use on that team too.
Yeah, I mean, they just need somebody like some type of point forward just to get the ball moving. Kind of like, which when I think of the Suns and like point forwards, like I think of like Boris Diaw back in the day when he played that position and kind of helped facilitate with the Suns offense, and they needed somebody like that. But yeah, I think that's, a perfect, sum up from that series, because it was a little column A, a little column B. I feel like, Suns definitely shit the bed, but the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are playing great basketball right now.
Well, before we go on to like the next series and the T-Wolves Nuggets, what do you think the Suns do, right? Like, do you think that they blow it up? Do you think they keep it? What do they do in the future? Because obviously they've had a massive disappointment.
They have one draft pick from now until 2031.
That's insane.
And they are so heavily in the apron tax that, like, I don't even think a lot of people know, like, the limitations that being in that second round of the apron tax even brings you. Like, they can't use cash in trades. They are ineligible to receive more than they give out. So they physically cannot win a trade moving forward.
Yeah.
And so there's just so many limitations on what they can do to build their roster. It's like they really handcuffed themselves to this team, and unless they can get rid of they can't even get rid of Bradley Beal because he's got a no trade clause. Bradley Beal's got to want to get out of that contract.
Well, my guess is that the first domino to fall wouldn't be Beal, it would be Booker, KD, and I don't think anybody would be surprised if KD asks for a trade. He's done it, twice?
No, and he already said that I didn't like the style of the offense that we played in Phoenix. He literally said that 2 days after they were eliminated.
And does that mean that they just want a coaching change? Do they go out and get a point guard so that he feels like it's more of a fluid offense? I just don't know that. I don't know that at this stage of KD's career he's going to be happy in like any scenario, right?
Yeah. I really don't think that there's not going to be that one team that comes along where it's like, I feel at home. I can, because if there was to be a team out there, he would have found it already.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been the team he won championships with, or the team that he had, where he was, kind of coming up with his young guys in OKC, or, it would have been one of those teams.
Who do you think's the first domino to fall? Because I just don't see a way that the Suns just go into the offseason and they say, let's run it back. They don't have the cap space to bring in anybody substantial. They don't have a draft pick. You think it's Booker that goes first or KD? There was a report recently, I think it was Stephen A, that said he didn't hear it directly, but that he heard that Booker wants to be in New York.
That would be really interesting, Booker playing alongside of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I assume it'd be the Knicks. Right?
Yeah,
he's not going to want to go to.
No one's being like, "Hey, I really want to play in Brooklyn right now." Like,
right.
I want to be a part of that.
Be a mediocre team.
Right. I want to be a part of that rebuilding process where there's no clear future in sight. No, I mean, I think it clearly means he wants to go play with Jalen Brunson, which wouldn't be a bad situation at all when I'm thinking about it. But I also think that there's no way Kevin Durant runs it back with Phoenix.
You think he's gone this offseason?
I think he's gone. I think we're going to see Kevin Durant on a new team within a couple months.
I think that Miami would be a decent landing spot for him. I think that they could, because if you think about it, they have a lot of their first. They have some assets. It's just like, at what point does KD keep fetching, or GMs keep fetching 3 to 5 first-round picks for KD? He's how old? 30, I'm guessing 36? He's up there, 35. I think he's 36. I don't know how long he can keep getting that like maximum return,
Well, I mean, not much longer. I mean, I already think that he's not that $50 million player that he's currently getting paid. Like, I mean, even though he did well in the postseason, he was not the reason.
Well, yeah.
He's not the reason why they got swept. You can confidently say that.
Lack of depth, lack of size,
right.
Lack of point guard, lack of athleticism. Grayson Allen was one of the few bright spots in that team outside of Booker and KD, and he missed the last 2 games.
Yeah.
As much as that pains you to probably hear.
I fucking hate Grayson Allen.
Dude, he was nice, though.
I know.
He earned that contract, shot super well.
He's been really efficient, and he's expanded his game.
To 5.
He's expanded his game.
I just 5 with him.
I just fucking hate Grayson Allen. He's a punk.
Yeah, no one really likes him. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, that was both. That was a little bit both. It was, the T-Wolves doing good, the Suns kind of shit in the bed, but I have no idea what the Suns do moving forward. I just feel like I know KD's out.
Yeah, there's no way they can run it back. Like, there's a couple teams that we're going to talk about at the end that have had disappointing playoffs so far that I think will run it back, partially because of health, but I just don't see a way that they can keep the status quo and say, let's run it back after getting swept.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what do you think happens in the next round? I think that's like a big thing. Like, Nuggets versus T-Wolves. What do you think?
I think it's going to be obviously a really tight series. I still think Denver is that top dog team. I think their cohesiveness on offense, just the fact that Jokic can tap a ball and it goes where he wants it to go and knows a player's going to be there. It's almost like they have like a almost a telekinetic type of relationship when Aaron Gordon's cutting, or like Michael Porter Jr. is like swinging to the corner. It's like Jokic knows exactly where everyone's going to be. And, Jamal Murray's health concerns are, that's kind of concerning when he's questionable going into like multiple games.
He didn't look it though.
I know he didn't look it, but it's still, they need Jamal Murray.
For sure.
They need that kind of closer because he's capable of hitting big shots.
2-game winners.
And he doesn't have the burden of being the best player on his team. I think that's what's so beautiful about the way their team is constructed, even though I don't think they improved on what they had last year. In fact, I think some ways they actually lost a little bit of depth. But,
for sure.
But at the same time, I still view them as the team to beat. I think it's going to be Denver in 6.
Denver in 6, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go on record and say the T-Wolves are gonna take them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that until Denver's dethroned, it's hard to bet against them. But I think that the T-Wolves have what it takes. I think one of Denver's strengths is their length and their athleticism. But I think the Timberwolves are just as long. I think that the T-Wolves are going to be able to throw guys at Jamal Murray to disrupt him. I really do. I think that you could end up seeing Conley on like Michael Porter almost as much, because I don't think they're going to have him guarding Jamal Murray for 35 minutes a game. I think you could see Slow-Mo playing more in that series.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying to think what they did in the regular season. I know Timberwolves took at least one of the games. But I just think that they're ready. I really do. I think that you're going to see Naz Reid play a little bit more this series than he did last. And I do think that Denver's missing something that they had last year. I think Bruce Brown being gone hurts them. I think Christian Braun was really a non-factor almost in this first round. I think that, and if you look at like how close Denver's games were with the Lakers could have easily won an extra 2 games in that series. It was super close. My dog's going crazy out there. Yeah, okay. Dude's going nuts. But yeah, I think that the T-Wolves have it. I really do. And I think I could be dead wrong. And I think if I was having to mortgage my house on it, I don't know that I would say that, but I'm excited to see the series. I know that that's easily going to be the most popular series in round 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think everyone feels that whoever wins this series is going to come out of the West because as good as OKC has been, I still don't feel like they've been tested.
Right.
Like the Pelicans, that was like a nice appetizer. That was an amuse-bouche, like that didn't even feel like playoff basketball, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, no Zion made that like.
Right. That was just no competition. So whenever I'm looking at it through that lens, I think, the winner of this series is going to basically face Boston in the finals. Like who?
Ooh, Boston for sure, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's looking like that's going to be the case. I mean, if you're betting on Vegas odds, that's probably going to be the case. But I just feel like it's going to be overwhelming offense versus overwhelming defense, and that offense it's still moving like a fine oiled machine. I don't see any kink in that armor.
Who do you think they're going to put on Anthony Edwards more often than not?
That's a great question.
So like you think about like the Lakers, right?
Probably KCP.
Yeah. So you look at the Lakers and they'd put Aaron Gordon on him a lot.
Yeah.
But if you put Aaron Gordon on Anthony Edwards, who are you putting on Cat? So
right.
That's the one thing they've got so
right.
much.
I would say you're putting KCP on him, and then
he's going to get cooked.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to get cooked by Anthony Edwards, but the thing is, who's going to get cooked the least? Like, who's at least going to get a couple of steals, cause him to take a bad shot every now and then, and that's KCP. Like, he's the most defensively potent guy that could make that happen.
Yeah, he's going to have to, I don't want to say play him to drive, but kind of. You almost want Anthony Edwards, even though his three-point shot was hot there, so obviously they're going to be guarding him. But you need to draw him into that length, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to drive him into Jokic more, and my brain's failing me.
And Jokic has been stepping up his defense a little bit. He's been more physical on defense. He's been staying vertical and kind of knowing when to contest and knowing kind of when to stay out of things. But yeah, I think it's not going to be the end of the world. I mean, Anthony Edwards is probably going to average a 30-piece in this series, but
he's going to have to if they want to win.
I think it's more so about how can Denver eliminate, some of these guys like the Naz Reid, like Rudy Gobert, maybe cause Cat to have 2 or 3 off games over the course of a series, and then you're taking that home.
I mean, home court advantage, it's crazy. What, the 1 through 3 seed in the regular season, they were separated by what, like half a game, 1 game?
Right.
That home court advantage could be a huge factor. I think if Minnesota was able to keep that 2 seed and them getting, game 1 and 2 in Minnesota, that would have been a big deal for them. So I do think that's going to hurt.
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm not someone that's like, oh no, they're playing in the altitude or whatever. Because I mean, these guys a lot of them train in the altitude,
athletes,
and yeah,
right.
it's not a.
I don't know that it's much about that, just the home court.
Right, right. Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, either way, that's going to be a series to watch. That is going to be the team that's coming out of the West without a doubt.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
time will tell.
We'll see.
Well, we touched a little bit on the East. You indicated you felt Boston was going to come out.
Yeah, I mean Boston's looking like a lock for sure, and I don't think that it's mainly because they're playing so well or what they're doing is so different than what they were doing in the regular season. But I just think you're seeing a lot of implosion, a lot of confusion within the ranks of the East. Like you have health problems with the 76ers. Embiid looks all banged up.
Doesn't look like himself at all.
Yeah, I mean it's either a leg problem or it's Bell's palsy. It's like what's I don't even know what's his health status really is right now.
And then you've got Milwaukee missing both Lillard and Giannis.
I
think they've already they were able to win recently, but I think that they're pretty much, I mean, they're done. So I think it's going to be Boston. And then do you think the Knicks can compete with them and hang? And I just don't know that they have enough firepower. Who's their second scoring option whenever Jalen Brunson's having an off night? I think it's more of a committee.
Are you saying that they can't sustain themselves with Josh Hart as their second best player on their team?
Or DiVincenzo?
It's Josh Hart.
He's been playing well, right?
He's averaging 17 and 13 as he's 6'4".
He boards. He's always been a hard boarder.
He has, but he's averaging almost 13 rebounds in the playoffs. That's insane. That's ridiculous. That type of production cannot be sustained.
No, and they don't have that set. I think they're really, they have a pretty easy road, all being said, until they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and play Boston. But who's their second guy? Josh Hart, like you just said, DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, as good as he is defensively and spot up shooting, he doesn't do much with the ball. He's really been spotting up in the corner. I just don't know that like how sustainable that can possibly be.
They're having to rely on like production from like Hartenstein and like McBride right now, and it's like
that's going to run out.
Yeah, that type of consistency. Yeah, it looks like it's at best going to lead to an Eastern Conference Finals. Which isn't bad.
Which I was going to say is like more than the Knicks have had in a long time.
Right.
But I think that if Embiid was healthy, I think that there'd be a legitimate chance they'd be losing this first round matchup. And it's still possible. It's about to go back to Philly for Game 6, right? Like it's still possible that this series goes 7.
Yeah, because Tyrese Maxey's playing ridiculous right now.
Insane.
The way he played in overtime and at the end of the fourth quarter was ridiculous last night.
That shot, that 35-footer was.
He just pulled up from the logo, just nuts hanging out, just bam, and it's like
no hesitation coming off that screen.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love Maxey, but
he plays with so much energy, and I think the thing that I love most about his game is he is in such good shape that he plays the end of the fourth quarter the same way he does the beginning of the first quarter. You do not see a dip in his energy level the whole fucking game, and that's one of the
so fast.
That's so fast, and that's so rare in the NBA because you notice people getting tired. You're like, so and so is not getting back on defense, or so and so didn't try that hard for that rebound. It's like not Maxey.
Yeah, no, he plays hard, and I love him. I think that he's going to have – I think he has a legitimate claim for third-team All-NBA. I don't think that he's going to get it. I think there's too many guys, but I think that with how good of a season they had, I think that he has a legitimate claim to it. I'm excited to see what happens with the All-NBA awards.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some snubs. But, yeah, he played great. But, yeah, I don't think the Knicks – and I know Knicks fans are going to hate hearing it. They're kind of delusional, but – I think they've got to know that whenever they ultimately get to Boston, assuming they're able to make it there, which I do. I don't think outside of Boston they have a crazy amount of competition with all the injuries like we've discussed. I don't think even Knicks fans think that they stand much of a chance against the Celtics, right? They're just like too deep, too potent. They have 4 guys that can go for 30 points on any given night. They've got depth. They've got more guys like Hauser that have stepped up this year and actually played role for them. So, yeah, I think that it's not sexy, but like we're more likely than not, even though I kind of went out on a limb and said T-Wolves, if my life was on the line, like I'm betting just like everyone else, Boston and Denver.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the thing with the Knicks is like I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's like they need a clear second option. I think your team clearly is not in a great place whenever your second option gets hurt and then you become better. You become a more consistent team. It's like without Julius Randle, I don't know that they finish, or with Julius Randle, I don't know if they finish second in the East. I don't know if they look this good right now.
Well, I think that even you don't talk about adding OG and Anunoby. I think just getting rid of RJ Barrett's a bonus.
Right.
I've never been an RJ Barrett guy. I think that like you give his minutes to Josh Hart and DiVincenzo, that's just helped them.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And then you were able to add in a guy like Bogdanovich who's hurt, who is, he's
not doing much at all.
Yeah. Right? Well, I mean, defensively, he's not there. But, Brunson kicks, I want a guy like Bogdanovich hitting that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they need some depth. And I agree. They need that second player because it's not Julius Randle.
I'm curious to see what they do in the offseason because they really are. They went out and got OG. They traded away a couple picks, but I think they are maybe one guy away from being able to compete with Boston.
Yeah, I would say one really
good guy,
not like just one good role player, not like one like another Josh Hart, OG Anunoby type player.
Yeah, they need to replace Randall with somebody.
Yeah,
who that is, I don't know, but I'll say this. It's exciting to see the Knicks back and at least being in the conversation. Like they went to Philly and almost like had a home court advantage. They took over that arena.
Yeah.
Which is when the Knicks are good, it's always good for the NBA.
Right. It's such a big market. It's such an important like sort of benchmark in basketball history that when the Knicks are doing good, the sport is thriving. So I agree.
Kind of like
we're both saying not contenders.
They're not contenders.
Knicks
No.
are not contenders. I'm sorry, Knicks fans.
Yeah, sorry, but y'all know it too.
Yeah.
Deep down, you know Boston is going to take you in 6 at the absolute best for you guys.
Right. I mean,
and that's not a knock on y'all. Like if y'all are able to go and take Boston in 6, you're going to sit back and you're going to go into this offseason and you're going to be like, this was a success for us, and that's what will happen. Maybe even 5.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have a lot of really good building points moving forward, but yeah, an Eastern Conference Finals appearance would be beyond what they had in mind at the beginning of the season.
How many games, assuming the Pacers come out, how many games do you think the Pacers take them to?
I think Pacers take them to 6.
Yeah.
I think
We'll see. I mean, they just lost to a Giannis and Dameless Milwaukee team.
Well, I mean, I think that the Pacers are victims of their own offense. Like when their offense is clicking, they can beat anybody, but they also are just really, really. I don't know. You live and you die by the 3. I think that they're a clear example of any team that represents that more so than anyone else in the NBA.
It's crazy. Siakam comes in and he's like clearly the number 1 option. Halliburton he doesn't take that many shots right now. He's like Nembhard shooting the ball as much as him. They're going through Siakam way more. I know that Halliburton's kind of a pass-first guy. He's not just a guy that's going to go out and try and take 25, 30 shots, but I think they need more out of him if they're going to take that next step.
Yeah, I think that's more of a Carlisle situation where he needs to get the team kind of just rebalanced a little bit, because I think Siakam could be that really good piece that they need. I think he's already proven he can be the second.
They're going to have to pay him.
Oh yeah, they're going to have to pay him a lot, but he's already proven that he can be the second option on a championship winning team. Like he's been there, he's done that, and so I think that experience with some of their young core makes sense.
One thing that we haven't touched on, obviously a big thing is the Lakers and kind of what they do. LeBron has the ability to opt out of his contract. Let's say LeBron does opt out. Do you think it's just to extend a contract with the Lakers, or do you think he's actually going to test for agency?
He's going to go.
If he does,
he's going to go where Bronny goes.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that I don't think Bronny needs to go to the draft. I think if he goes to the draft, it's only the only way he ever gets drafted is that if LeBron tells him tells whatever team it is that he'll go there. Like, do the Lakers draft Bronny just so that they can keep LeBron? Like, I don't know. Like, I follow college basketball and, like, the transfer portal and recruiting pretty heavily. Out of just the unsigned guys currently in the transfer portal, just in the transfer portal, he's ranked, like, around 40.
Yeah.
You factor in all the guys that have signed, he's, like, the number 70 to 80 recruit in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
There's 61, is it 60 picks in the NBA draft?
60, yeah.
How is he a top 60 player whenever he's not even a top 60 guy, just of guys transferring in college basketball?
Right.
And this isn't like an indictment on Bronny. Bronny's like a good player.
No.
He obviously, went through his issues last year with his cardiac arrest. This isn't like an indictment on Bronny and the hate on Bronny James thing, but the only reason he's being talked about going to the NBA is because of his dad. And I think that's unfair to him. That's unfair expectations. He couldn't hang in the league right now. I don't know if he could really hang in the G League right now. But
yeah,
it would be exciting to see him come in. Would I hate it if my Spurs took him in the second round and we were able to bring LeBron in for a year or two?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not just getting his production on the court. You're getting a potential ability to sign LeBron James for a vet minimum.
Do you think he goes legitimately wherever Bronny goes?
I think if somebody drafts Bronny, he goes where Bronny's going. I legitimately do. I think that
Charlotte.
I think that there's yes. Honestly, yeah.
Pistons.
I think that LeBron wants that as a part of his legacy. He wants to be the only person that ever played father-son on the same NBA team. He wants that in his legacy. He wants
that bad enough to not be in contention. The thing is, I don't think a really bad team would take him, because I know that the Detroit Pistons aren't sitting there thinking, oh, if we get LeBron, we're competing for a ship.
Right.
Because they're not.
Exactly.
I imagine a contender would be one that takes him like...
But like imagine if Bronny goes undrafted and the Knicks are like, you know what? Come here. we're gonna scoop you up, and then they talk to Braun. They're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna sign Bronny. And
what would be really exciting, and I think would really is if like a California team. What if like the Warriors or the Kings or the Clippers bring on Bronny? I think that especially if LeBron could stay in LA or in California.
Oh yeah,
not have to move. And it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think either way, we're in agreement that his talent right now is an NBA ready talent. I think that he has certain defensive skills that will translate, but his offensive game is nowhere near polished enough to where he's able to exist on an NBA court right now.
He's 6'2" and isn't a big facilitator. He plays within the flow of a team and an offense, but he doesn't like jump out at you. He averaged, 3 points a game for a really below to mediocre USC team.
Yeah.
We'll see. And again, I don't want to spend time hating on him. I think the only thing is with all the expectation, he just becomes a topic of conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the Lakers do. Any other teams that you feel like Milwaukee, for example, what do they do?
I mean, I've been questioning what Milwaukee's been doing for a while. Like, as soon as they brought in Doc Rivers, I was like, what is happening here? I don't see the end game here. And then now that we're kind of seeing Dame and Giannis kind of falling apart a little bit, and now we're seeing, all right, what can Doc Rivers do? How can he kind of X's and O's thing a little bit from here on out? And I think they're realizing that, Doc Rivers is a pretty surface level coach. Like, he needs his stars.
JJ Redick, what he thinks.
Oh, well, I mean, I've thought that for so long. Doc Rivers has been coasting on 2008 for ever.
Well, let's say they're healthy, right? Because this is my thing. Do they?
I guess what I'm getting at is, even with healthy superstars, they're just masking the problem that is when you get to a real series, when you're playing a team that's going to take you to 6 or 7 games, they don't have the guy that's going to make the X's and O's to really get that done. I view Budenholzer.
I think it's unfair. I think it's okay. I don't think they should have ever let him go.
No, I view Budenholzer as a better option right now to get the most out of the least amount of talent.
Well, do you think they bring him back?
No, I think they feel like idiots for getting rid of him.
Right.
I think they feel dumb.
Well, why do you think they've gone through 3 coaches, or now they're on their 3rd coach? What do you think's the main reason for that? Giannis.
I mean, well, Giannis was the reason why Bud got fired, for sure, because Giannis had said he was in that meeting that made that decision, and so I really think that he's the only one that could have been like, I need to change or I'm out. And
he's also the reason Drew Holiday probably got traded, right?
Right.
It still baffles me how you win a championship and then he's hurt. He didn't even play in the playoffs. He played 1 game, 2 games in the playoffs last year.
And then we get it, first round exit, but
you weren't healthy.
And dude, I remember that because literally, Coach, they blamed so much of it on Coach Bud, and I want to say that was right when his brother had passed away too. It was literally like so much stuff is getting thrown at Coach Bud right now, and they're like, it was your fault, even though you're dealing with a bunch of family stuff and your best player's hurt. First round exit, it's your fault.
Yeah, and I think there's players over the course of time that have gotten a bad rap for getting coaches fired, aka LeBron.
Yeah.
At what point do we start blaming Giannis for firing Budenholzer, firing their coach midseason, bringing on Doc Rivers, not playing in the last two playoffs more or less, bringing it, talk about we're trying to fix our defensive woes, but they trade for Damian Lillard. They let go of one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. I think whenever you win a championship, you don't blow up your team. You don't go through 3 head coaches. You don't trade your second best player. I'm questioning what Milwaukee does, but we're here now. And I think out of all the teams that are getting eliminated in the first round, I think Milwaukee is one that I could see them running it back, because you haven't seen what they've been able to do yet in the playoffs. I think that they struggled some defensively in the regular season, but the NBA playoffs is different. I still think that Milwaukee would have had a chance to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals with a healthy team this year in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just off talent alone, I think that they're like, hey, if we have Damian and Doc Rivers and everyone for a full off season to where we can actually get on the same page and we're not having to mesh this all in mid-season,
right?
I think that they feel like they could have better odds of, doing better than a first round exit. But at the same time, at the same time, I feel like, we've seen the best out of this Bucks core team. And I hate to say that, but I don't think they're ever going to get back to what they were in 21. Yeah.
They're old. All their players are.
Brook Lopez isn't getting any younger.
Bobby Portis isn't getting younger.
No.
Middleton's not getting younger.
No, he's so banged up this year. Yeah. Ask our fantasy team.
Yeah. Which, hey, got second place. Not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, one league together, we're able to get second place.
Yeah, not bad.
Tripled our money. We're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Come to us for all of your fantasy needs.
Oh yeah. But yeah, they're just looking really banged up and looking like, their best years are behind them. So I do agree they have the talent to say, fuck it, let's run it back one more year. But I also think, 2 or 3 years down the line, they're really scratching their heads and wondering what their team's going to look like.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to watch the rest of the playoffs. I'm excited to hop on and talk more ball with you as the playoffs go along. Really, really interested to see what happens in this T-Wolves Denver series. If T-Wolves can steal one on the road, I think it's going 7. So I'm pumped to see what happens.
Hell yeah, dude. A lot of really great playoff stuff. More fun stuff tonight. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you having this conversation,
man. Yeah, man. It's been good to get back together.
Yeah.
Pumped to be back on the Baseline Bums podcast and look forward to talking more. Again, be on the lookout for our boy AJ, obviously, as well. Be on the lookout for more Baseline Bums content coming in soon.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of shit. But yeah. I appreciate y'all for being in here, listening, watching, wherever y'all are consuming the content. I appreciate you very much. This has been Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and you've been listening to the Baseline Bums podcast. And I have been joined by my homie, Adam.
Yeah, go ahead and follow us. Follow the Baseline Bums podcast on Instagram, on TikTok. Go show some love to Rob's page, B-Ball Archives, on TikTok as well. And looking forward to talking again.
Absolutely. And as always, it's Go Spurs Go.